Yo guys, what is up? Moxsy here with another Borderlands 3 video, and today we have my comprehensive guide to the Maliwan Takedown event for soloing it. Now this is going to be covering more so strategies. I'm going to have a separate video for my updated build. I have now completed the Maliwan Takedown a few times, soloing it, and I've learned a lot of things. And I've changed up the build a little bit, I've changed up the gear a little bit. My first run through will be posted, but since then we have made some adjustments. Now if you are playing this on Amara, I haven't played this on other characters, I will give you some tips for Amara and what to do with Amara to solo it. But today we'll be talking about strats, tactics, mechanics, and covering different areas of the event, and I'll show you guys how to make this way easier for yourself. Yo guys, so I'm just going to be walking you through this run through the takedown, sharing with you guys what works for me, what I found doesn't work, what does work, and some adaptations to the build and playstyle that I've used to get through this area the fastest. One of those biggest things was using the Brainstormer. The Brainstormer, as you guys know, I've made a lot of builds using it, and it shined in this event. It is so good at taking care of large groups of enemies. And what you're going to want to do when you fight this and when you take on this Maliwan Takedown to have the most success with it is you're only going to want to fight enemies in groups. You're going to try to group up enemies to the best of your ability and only fight them when they're grouped. The reason I say this is because the Brainstormer is a very weak single target weapon. It really doesn't do a lot of single target damage. However, when it's chaining damage, it does a lot. It does a lot of damage and is by far and away the fastest way to get ourselves through this DLC. Anytime you're fighting an enemy that's not nearby another enemy is when you'll die, is when you'll go down here. We already made it through that area pretty fast. So as soon as they're chained, we're able to get all of our healing back, put out a crazy amount of damage, and you're just going to want to make sure that you're fighting the enemies while they're close together. This next area, we're still using infusion into fire element damage. We're using mindfulness to keep enemies up and out of our way. And I've run through this a few times. There's different playstyles that you guys can go for this, different ways you could go about using this. I do recommend using your action skill as much as you possibly can. And so, as you can see, we're freezing enemies really fast. We're chewing through enemies. These are our modifiers, normal bullet damage and increased area of effect, so not affecting us. And the way we're doing this, we're doing so much damage, is because we're using a Brainstormer with bonus cryo damage and an Icebreaker Victory Rush with cryo damage, action skill cooldown rate, and cryo efficiency. Cryo is an amazing element for this takedown. Cryo is going to do bonus damage against armor, so that's super nice to have on our Brainstormer. Almost every enemy in here has a shield. Brainstormer is going to strip shields like crazy, and then we're using infusion with that to merc health bars. We do a lot of damage, and we have different Brainstormers for different events, but as you can see, we're doing so much damage right now that even with fire on, because we have the cryo, we're absolutely destroying. Oh, so this is my next big tip of advice for you guys. So after running this many times, I've figured out kind of a secret or a method that I use to clear this first, like mini boss, really fast. So as soon as that door opens, guys, that is the time to book it. That you are going to run straight at this boss with the Brainstormer, and just absolutely unload on him. And I'll show you guys what I mean. You're gonna want to have your setup for killing him ready. So for that, I'm going to use a Cutsman with Phase Cast, but we're going to run at him with the Brainstormer. Watch this. So, not the best demonstration there. I would have liked to do that a little bit sooner. But what I mean by that, run at them, is so this door right in front of us is going to open. When it opens, all those enemies are going to be standing right there, and you can hit every single one of them with your Brainstormer. I know that wasn't the greatest example there, but run at them, shoot the Brainstormer, and you can kill the boss before he even comes out those doors if you have enough damage, which is really nice. You want to have your corrosive weapon that you're going to kill him with out and ready to go, because a lot of the times you'll kill all the things around him and then the boss will just have a little bit of health. Because of that, you want to be able to polish him off real quick. I know that wasn't the best example, but trust me, go head first into this. Brainstormer all those enemies up. You'll kill pretty much that entire phase and trivialize this whole encounter. Let's see. So this is the next fight, the Valkyrie squad, and the first real boss fight of the encounter. Now the Valkyrie squad, there's a few strategies that I've been using to do this very quickly. I'm not going to say this is the fastest kill just because we respect into not that much damage, more survivability, but you're going to want to start out using the Brainstormers. As you just saw, they all group up in the very beginning, and a Brainstormer can get you through that first shielded phase super fast. After that first phase, you're just going to have to deal with some mobs, and once again, the Brainstormer is going to shine here. I use the Brainstormers to manage mobs, and we're using one with cryo damage infused with corrosive. So that is going to strip shields and absolutely destroy armor. It's a really nice tool to have, as well as manage enemies by slowing them down and freezing them. That paired with a Icebreaker Victory Rush was my go-to option for this, and I found it to be really great. Now see, once I've managed the mobs and we've killed most of them, that is when I like to go in for the damage on the Valkyrie. Because we are using a Cutsman with a lot of damage, we're going to heal. As long as we can get our damage off, we can pretty much tank the Valkyrie's damage, as long as we're putting out as much damage as we can. To do that and make sure that we can do that, I'm using a Terror Ammo Regen Transformer, which is going to allow us to put out more bullets before we need to reload, which is really nice. As you can see there, we were able to get through that Valkyrie pretty quickly and get on to the next area. I will be putting out my builds for this. I'm still playing around with a lot of different things that I think work here, work there. But this fight, mainly Brainstormers and the Cutsman is what I've been using. Once again, doing some ad management with the Brainstormer. And as soon as I feel like I'm at a good spot where I'm not going to die, that is when I'll pull out the Cutsman. Now with running a build on Amara and doing this event, you're going to want to... We're relying on sustainment for our health. Sustainment and damage is what's keeping us alive, so reloading is the death of us. As you can see, I never really need to reload on my Brainstormer, which is why I was able to solo this. We don't have any weakness while we're using the Brainstormer because we never run out of ammo, our chains never stop, and because of that we're going to get crazy health regen. The moments that get tricky are when there are no multiple enemies to chain against, and so because of this, you're going to want to stay fairly close to mobs and make sure that they are grouped up, as I said before. This will allow us to kill enemies the quickest and get the most heals off. Because this fight does require a lot of damage, I was using an elemental projector here just to give myself a little bit more of a boost. There is enough space to work with here as I go down to get off an elemental projector with the Sella and do a lot of damage. It isn't a necessary step to this fight. You definitely don't need to do it, but I was doing it because I could give myself the space and the time to do it with the Brainstormer. Now for a fight like Wotan, which I'm going to do another guide on, I wouldn't recommend doing something like this just because that fight is crazy, and as soon as we stop shooting, you basically are dead. Now each phase of this fight, if you guys didn't know, is basically 3 Valkyries, each Valkyrie individually, and then 3 Valkyries all again. Once they all come down is when you're going to go into full tryhard mode. We just killed got the last Valkyrie through her phase, and this is where all 3 Valkyries are going to come out. As soon as this phase happens, you're going to want to have your Brainstormer out because you're going to get charged by a lot of enemies. Now because all 3 of the Valkyries are out, you can do a lot of damage to them with the Brainstormer, and I would recommend using the Brainstormer to get damage on them while you can. And then once you've managed the mobs successfully and feel like you're in a good spot, that is when I would recommend pulling out the Cutsman and absolutely laying it on them. You'll see at the end here that we do a nice job. So right here, I got some space, got no ads on me, and then I can just absolutely do a lot of damage and kill both of them in short work. So that's what I recommend doing for this fight. This is obviously hard and it takes a lot of gear, and I didn't complete this on my very first try. We did die, but I'm working on finding strats to make it the easiest for you guys and the easiest for myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you learned something new or got something out of the video, I do appreciate the like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you check in for our guide on soloing Wotan, which is going to be an awesome video. Peace!